Great Sanitation Film fans, Thomas L here, with City on the Hill premiere on Showtime this Sunday. I decided to do my top 10 favorite Kevin Bacon movies. Kevin Bacon's been around for years. I mean, he had his big breakthrough in the 80s, and since then he's been in some high-profile TV shows, movies, and who doesn't love Kevin Bacon? He's just an awesome actor. So, that being said, here's my 10 favorite Kevin Bacon movies. Coming in at number 10 is a film called Cop Car. Now, this movie is critically underrated. It got good reviews and all, but lots of people really never even heard of this movie. In Cop Car, it's about these two mischievous teens played by James Friedson Jackson and Hayes Welford, who stumbles upon a abandoned police car and they ends up stealing it. But unaware that its murderous owner, played by Kevin Bacon, has stashed a hostage in the trunk, so he has to try to find a way to get the truck back before they go to police with it and all. It's pretty much like a cat and mouse game. Kevin Bacon is the bad guy here, and this is probably Kevin Bacon's best performance in years. It's great. It's gritty. Great. The two lead actors in this were great. The film, by the way, was directed by John Watts. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he's the director of Spider-Man. He directed Spider-Man: Homecoming, and he's of course returns for Spider-Man: Far From Home, which comes out this July. So before he did Spider-Man, he had a few interesting stuff he did before Homecoming. And Cop Car is a great one. It's really entertaining. It's a nice cat and mouse game. Check out Cop Car if you guys never seen it. I highly recommend it. It's a really good one. Coming in at number 9 is a film called The Woodsmen. In this film, it stars Kevin Bacon as a character named Walter, who's been in prison for 12 years. So 12 years later, he returns home. And so, few people know that, because he actually went to prison because he's a sex offender and a pedophile. So, he ends up finding an apartment where he's regularly visited by his parole officer, played by Mos Def. So he gets a job at a lumber mill and starts seeing a coworker played by Kira Cedric, who I believe were married or are married. I can't remember between the two. And so he wants to try to find a way, he's pretty much trying to woo his coworker, and he also begins a high-risk friendship with a young girl in this as well. So, and realizes that a man lowering near a schoolyard is pretty much a child molester, and people are thinking that he's prowling on his next victim. So, yeah, this movie is pretty intense. I mean, it has good performances by Kevin Bacon, by Kira Cedric. Mos Def was great in this. And Kevin Bacon is supposed to be a character that shouldn't be likable at all, but he was pretty good here. Definitely a very different role for Kevin Bacon. It was produced by Lee Daniels, who also gave us The Butler and loads of other stuff. A few other people you got in this. You also got Benjamin Bratt. Eve was in this. David Allen Greer. Micah Shannon. Some pretty good cast members, and yeah, this was a pretty good film, but his character was very sickening, and he's really a character that you couldn't root for at all. But Kevin Bacon plays this role perfectly, and shows of how great of an actor Kevin Bacon is. Coming in at number 8 is a film called Trapped. Now, Trapped is about a couple played by Charlize Theron and Stuart Townsend, whose daughter ends up being hostage by Kevin Bacon and his girl played by Courtney Love, so Charlize Theron and Stuart Townsend's characters had to try to find a way to get their kid back, and they need to they also need to extort money to And also, this is pretty much, I guess you really want to say it, this is like a female version of Taken, but instead of the dad, going after, getting the kidnappers, it's the mother. Of course, this movie got released before Taken, by the way. Trap, I really like this film. It's a great cat and mouse game, and shows how great of a villain Kevin Bacon could be. This guy could play a villain perfectly. This shows how great of an actor he is, period. He could go from a good guy to the next to playing a bad guy. He's a great at playing the villain roles, and here he shows it. Courtney Love, she was terrific. There's also like a seducing scene between Charlize Theron and Kevin Bacon. That scene is pretty intense, actually. It's a really good one. And Dakota Fanning, by the way, plays Theron's daughter in this. Dakota Fanning was good. Really cool and interesting little thriller. If you guys never seen Trapped, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Coming in at number 7 is X-Men First Class. Now here of course, Kevin Bacon also plays a bad guy named Sebastian Shaw, who's like bent on world domination, and he's like he's also known as Dr. Klaus Schmidt, who's a former mutant Nazi scientist and the leader of the Hellfire Club, which is a secret society bent on taking over the world. So he has the power of absorbing and redirecting kinetic and energy and all. I love First Class. It's of course the movie that really brought back the X-Men universe until Dark Phoenix screwed it up, but that's a topic for another day. Anyway, First Class is great, and Kevin Bacon never really reprised his role as a Shaw again, because I thought he was a great villain. I mean, of course the best X-Men villain is Magneto, but there could be a good chance, there could be an argument made that Sebastian Shaw was a great villain too. I mean, I'll probably have all my favorite villains in the recent X-Men movies will probably be Sebastian Shaw. He was great here. And you also had January Jones was in this. You also had James McAvoy as a professor, his debut as Professor X. Michael Fassbender made his debut as Magneto. Jennifer Lawrence was in this. Nicholas Hoult. Such a great cast. It's really cool. I mean, it's a cool time travel film. Like, the film takes place in the 60s and all. It's really cool. And, of course, the cameo by Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is a good one. If you guys, of course, never seen the first X-Men First Class, is a really great one. And Kevin Bacon's performance as Sebastian Shaw makes this movie worth it. Coming in at number 6 is Wildings. Now, this film stars Denise Richards and Neve Campbell, and in it, Denise Richards plays a teen who fails to attract the attention of her hunky guidance counselor named Sam, played by Matt Dillon. So she pretty much accuses him of rape, and so there's a scandal that results in his arrest. So Sam ends up appealing to Ken, played by Bill Murray, who's a hack personal injury lawyer who has never handled a case that couldn't be helped, and also he's pretty much helping them. And you also got Neve Campbell as a second victim here, who also comes forward, and you got Kevin Bacon, who plays the detective here, who wants to unravel the truth behind the situation. This movie is a pretty hot film, I will admit. I will say there. This film will bring on the filthy right there. I mean, probably one of the most iconic moments is, the pool moment. The pool scene in Wildings. And, of course, the scene between Matt Dillon, Denise Richards, and Neve Campbell. If you guys seen Wildings, you guys know what scenes I'm talking about. Not going to go into any details of them. But Wildings is great. It's really entertaining. It's a cool erotic film. I mean, it's awesome, and it got released in the 90s, and I don't know if a movie like this could really be made today, really, but it's still a good one. I mean, if you guys still never had a chance to check out Wildings yet, I highly recommend it. It's really good. And Kevin Bacon as the detective here was pretty cool, too. Coming in at number 5 is Mystic River. Now, in this, Sean Penn plays a ex-con named Jimmy Marcus, whose daughter, played by Emmy Rossum, ends up, getting married. So, two of his childhood friends from his neighborhood are somehow involved with the murder. You got Dave, played by Tim Robbins, who's a blue-collar worker, and he was the last person to see his daughter, her alive. And then you got Kevin Bacon as Sean, who's a homicide detective who's heading up the case. And so he ends up proceeding with his investigation, and so Jimmy ends up conducting one of his own true neighborhood contacts and all. Mystic River was directed by Clint Eastwood, who did a great job with this movie. It's based on a book by Dennis Lane. You also got Lawrence Fishburne in this. It's really great. It's a cool mystery thriller. It also got nominated for Best Picture, but of course lost out to one of the Lord of the Rings films. To the last Lord of the Rings film, actually. And other people in this, you also had Marsha Gay Harden, the aforementioned Fishburne, Emmy Rossum, way before Shameless. Laura Linney was in this. Some really great cast members. I mean, if you guys never seen Mystic River, this movie will leave you on the edge of your seat from beginning to end. It's really good. I mean, a great Clint Eastwood film, a great mystery film. Definitely check out Mystic River if you guys never seen that. Alright, coming in at number 4 is A Few Good Men, directed by Rob Reiner. Now, in the film, it stars Tom Cruise, who plays Lieutenant Daniel Caffey, who's a military lawyer defending 2 U.S. Marines who are charged with killing a fellow Marine at the Guantanamo Bay Naval base in Cuba. And in it, Kevin Bacon plays the prosecuting attorney who's best friends with Daniel. And you got Jack Nicholson as Colonel Nathan Jasper, who's to send in an effort to uncover the conspiracy. And of course, he used that classic iconic line, "You can't handle the truth." That line is pretty much iconic. You guys will probably recognize that line from other entertainment stuff. It's pretty much an iconic one. And Few Good Men is a really great courtroom drama. It's a courtroom thriller. You also got other people Demi Moore was in this. Who else? The film also got released in 1992. Dang. I know this movie got released a little later. And of course, it was scripted by Aaron Sorkin, who did a great job at screenwriting it. You also had a few other people. Kiefer Sutherland was in this. Kevin Pollak. Really good cast members. And it's a really cool story. It has a great script behind it. Check out A Few Good Men if you guys never seen it. It's a really good one. Coming in at number 3 is Apollo 13, which is directed by Ron Howard. And it's based on a true story of the events of Apollo 13 lunar mission. And it features Tom Hanks as astronaut Jim Lovell, Bill Paxton as astronaut Fred Haise, and Kevin Bacon as astronaut Jack Swigert, who of course it's about the Apollo 13 mission and all. And Jack Swigert was a American test pilot and mechanical and aerospace engineer. And Kevin Bacon was great here. And so, in his 20s, he was one of the astronauts who have flown to the moon before joining NASA in 1966. And he was also a civilian test pilot and fighter pilot in the Air National Guard and all. Kevin Bacon was great in this. He had great chemistry between Tom Hanks and Bill Paxton. I mean, this was a really cool true story flick. And it has a few other good players. Like you had Gary Sinise, Ed Harris. Really great cast members. I mean, it's a great inspirational true story film. Great performances by Hanks, by Paxton, by Sinise, by Bacon. Interesting story. And of course, Ron Howard did a great job at directing. And it really it really showed how three astronauts was able to go to space and land on the moon and all. It's great. If you guys never seen Apollo 13, check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Coming in at number 2 is Tremels. Now this is of course the movie about a giant giant worms and all. Tremels is dumb fun. It's really entertaining. I mean, in it, it's about two repairmen played by Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, who are like tired of their dull lives in the small desert town of Perfection, Nevada. So but they try to skip town, but upon like a series of mysterious deaths and concern, seismologist played by Finn Carter, who ends up studying unnatural readings below the ground. So, with the help of a couple played by Reba McEntire and Michael Gross, they decide to fight for survival against worm-like monsters who's like hungry for flesh. And this movie is PG-13, which I think it should have probably been rated R, because this has some pretty gruesome stuff in it. I mean, these are worms that are killing folks. And they're awesome, and they're after for human flesh, and Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, either they had great chemistry on screen. They were really great in this. Tremels is a really dumb, fun, and entertaining action film. The worms all look really cool in this. And of course, after this, we did have a few other sequels that came after this. Most of them went to home video and the Sci-Fi Network. And I remember hearing words about like the Sci-Fi Network was supposed to do a TV show of Tremels, but that never went to be. I know Kevin Bacon was supposed to be attached to the TV version. That never happened. I'd love to see Kevin Bacon back for another Tremels. It'll be cool to see. Alright, my number one favorite Kevin Bacon movie of all time is an obvious one. The best Kevin Bacon movie of all time is the film that put him on the map. That is Footloose, the dancing movie that features the classic song by Kenny Loggins. Come on, who didn't love Footloose? It's Kevin Bacon. It's pretty much the movie that you'll think of. When you think of Kevin Bacon, you probably don't think of Tremors, of A Few Good Men, JFK, or anything like that. You think of Footloose, and that's pretty much... Footloose was great. In it, Kevin Bacon, plays a guy named Rand McCormick, who ends up moving from Chicago. So, he discovers a small Midwestern town, and in it, the Reverend John Lithgow pretty much bans dancing. And also, Kevin Bacon's Rand character ends up falling in love with the Reverend's daughter, played by Laurie Singer. And you got Sean Penn's brother, Christopher Penn, as Kevin Bacon's best friend here. Sarah Jessica Parker was also in this. It's great. It's really entertaining. It's a cool dancing film. Come on. It also had one of the best soundtracks of the 80s. I mean, who did not like Kenny Loggins' Footloose song? I mean, back in the 80s, Kenny Loggins had two great songs from two really good films. Of course, Danger Zone from Top Gun, and Footloose from Footloose. He was the king of the soundtracks of the 80s, and Footloose it's just a classic. It's an 80s entertainment film. It's the best. And Footloose, who doesn't love Footloose? Footloose is great. And the remake is also good too, but not as good as the original. I mean, come on. And like I said, this is the film that put Kevin Bacon on the map. I mean, if it wasn't for Footloose, we probably wouldn't have Kevin Bacon, like, much films with Kevin Bacon in it. And yeah, definitely check out the original Footloose if you guys never seen it. It's a really good one. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, Cop Car. 9, The Woodsmen. 8, Trap. 7, Mystic River. 6, Wildings. 5, A Few Good Men. 4. Alright, let me kind of mess up here. 10, Cop Car. 9, The Woodsman. 8, Trapped. 7, X-Men First Class. 6, Wildings. 5, Mystic River. 4, A Few Good Men. 3, Apollo 13. 2, Tremels. 1, Footloose. Now, Kevin Bacon has been in loads of other stuff over the years. Let me see. Actually, his first major film was Friday the 13th, the original. Now, his character in the original Friday the 13th had a really gruesome death, where his character was, laying in bed, and all of a sudden there's like a knife that pops up and pretty much kills Kevin Bacon that way. Yeah, that's a pretty gruesome scene. Anyway, his other stuff included Hollow Man, Sleepers. Oh, I keep forgetting he was in Animal House. The River Wild, Murder in the First, Stir of Echoes, Death Sentence, She's Having a Baby, Flatliners, Taking Chance, R.I.P.D., Frost Nixon, JFK, Crazy Stupid Love, Quicksilver, not to be mistaken with by the way, Diner. He was also in The Darkness, but no thank you. Black Mass. I forgot he was in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Let's see. Whitewater Summer. Oh yeah, Balto. That's a classic right there. Picture Perfect. The Air I Breathe. Beauty Shop. Super. Kind of looking forward to check out City on the Hill. But anyway, let me leave you guys. What are some of your favorite Kevin Bacon movies? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Thomas Hill signing off.